final review of the night. Team Solo Mid versus Fnatic, a legendary rivalry that has gone on many years. Two really, really famous orgs, TSM and Fnatic. I'm sure Fnatic fans probably don't see it as a legendary rivalry, but there's been a lot of fun games between TSM and Fnatic in the past. This is the final game of Rift Rivals, in case you're wondering. Throwing some stats up, mostly to show you guys Fnatic's numbers so far in this tournament. Fnatic in the LEC Summer has had a really good split. As a comparison to their super slow spring split, their summer has been way better. We looked over the numbers last week, but you can see very ample gold difference at 15. They've just been in general a strong team, and a lot of first bloods with Broxah really playing a great style. Now at Rift Rivals, Broxah hasn't played all the games, so you might think that it hurt their stats, but actually they've grown their gold differential from 1200 to more than doubled to 2700. The lane CSD has gone from negative 0.2 to 22, but again, Sonataric means these numbers are a little bit misleading. Their gold per minute, one short of 2,000, which is really high. However, look at this, 2007 for Fnatic, 12 years ago. Their gold per minute domestically. 31 minutes, a lot longer average game time than G2, 31:19, so their destructions have been a bit more measured, but Fnatic have come in and had a really impressive tournament, and they definitely fall into the stereotype of Fnatic being, in a strong place right now. Like, I came away from reviewing Fnatic games and watching all the Fnatic games so far this season, thinking there was no way that EU could lose Rift Rivals because G2 is G2. Already know that their power level is high. And Fnatic's power level has grown the most of any Western team by far for me. They've gone from being a decent team in EU that I actually saw as kind of comfortably third best unless they could hard force team fights all the time through Reckless, into just a straight up really good team. Like, I think Fnatic is a walk into kind of top 7 world, depending on how many Chinese teams you put into the top 7. And probably most top 5s, right? So I think Fnatic are looking really strong. I haven't watched this game, so fresh eyes on the final review of the night. I know this one is a pretty quick Fnatic victory, though. The Trundle ban on red side here in the spot of Yuumi really is leaving open a Sejuani first pick, but making it super obvious. So I wonder what first pick they're fishing the enemy team to take instead of Sejuani. Because to me, you ban Sejuani here. You ban Trundle here, trying to get Sejuani here. But they clearly have basically 100% guaranteed that TSM is going to first pick Sejuani. Does get them a Yuumi lane. Yuumi Sivir, okay. That seems to be the new favorite. In Korea, we love Yuumi Lux. I think Yuumi Sivir is good as well. I'm probably a bigger fan of Lux, but I just see her as a more reliable champion than Yuumi, and a bit more versatile. I feel like Yuumi from behind is way worse than Lux from behind, but Yuumi from head is a little bit better than Lux from ahead. And that's kind of how I equate those. In case you're wondering, it's because Lux can check brush with both her E and her R, and Yuumi can, I guess, go into the ally and kind of shoot one skill shot through, but doesn't have that same ability to check brush from behind. So I like Lux from behind more, and that's why I'm a Lux Sivir fan. But it's also possibly just because the LCK has so much Lux Sivir. Speaking of Lux, they take a very strong 2v2 lane here. So picking the Lux solution, I think I'd love to talk to AD carries. I imagine a lot of AD carry and supports might consider this a lane counter to this, but that's maybe outdated information. Lux and Sona were considered like the most viable choices into the cat, because you just get levels in the shield and you can negate a lot of trades and you have a lot of range to harass Sivir from far. And the Lucian all-in here is obviously pretty insane. Like, Lucian versus Sivir has always been a pretty good matchup for Lucian at one item. But that's outdated information. I mean, we get the answer, and they're just happy to go Elise. So Fnatic basically say, all right, we're just going to beat you super hard through Broxah being Broxah and just outpath Thingrig, which, I mean, probably not the worst read in this particular case. Bans in the second round. The Nico safe blind ban and the Aurelia ban Draws a Corki ban. So Azir is like the very obvious pick here. With all the champions that are banned, is Corki as Sin as an answer into Azir. So one of the teams is definitely setting up for Azir, and the LeBlanc band as well. So Nemesis has been defaulting to a lot of AD Twisted Fate, as we know, in recent memory. He's been playing a lot of champions that can split the map, is what I've seen from him. And it's a move away from his team fighting only. It's like a lot of pressure champions that he's been playing. And they got a last pick mid. Okay, so they just want to counter pick mid. So every Korean team takes Azir in that spot. But the Azir priority is a lot lower. There's a chat here that Nemesis never played LeBlanc at the professional level. I haven't looked at his career numbers, to be honest. I don't remember him playing it in spring. The Azir pick here, isn't it interesting? Like, it feels like these picks are so obvious. Like, you have to take these picks. Like, in Korea, you would take these picks as well. And we'd be talking about next levels if we were doing an LCK draft, because they're really pushing them on to super high power picks. Top lane against Aatrox. It is Broken Blade. Like, you can play a lot of stuff here. GP is like ultra safe choice, but he's gonna take the Camille, which is the spicy choice. I don't know how I feel about Camille in this comp. Broken Blade loves to play it. All of the options here, I like Aatrox. I like GP versus Aatrox for farming out, and we got the Veigar. Okay, I didn't know this was a Veigar game. Vel'Koz is the usual V champion you take into Azir. All right. Huh. I didn't even know it was Veigar in this game. That's interesting. Like, Veigar is so bold in this comp. So, Veigar Cage, if you can get it behind Azir, yes, it does stop the Shifting Sands. Sejuani just ults Veigar on site, so I guess you have to take Cleanse or buy a QSS. Camille ults on top of a Veigar, and that sounds bad also. Lucian's culling is really good against Veigar. Why Veigar? I don't know. I think the matchup's okay, but frontline plus Vel'Koz is what most teams go. They don't really have a frontline, so I guess maybe you can't pull off Vel'Koz. I don't really get the... I must admit, I don't really get this. Like, why not just Azir here? Instead of getting to a spot where you last pick Veigar. I don't get it. Veigar is great into Lucian if he's dashing in, right? But if you're in some sort of siege mode, like, let's say at least falls behind this game, and then TSM's the one that decides when they're going to what lane, and Fnatic gets their second, then you just open up with the culling, and Veigar can't do anything against the culling. Yes, in a team fight that's already started, and Veigar comes in late, and he's like, Cage behind you, and then Lucian's like, crap, I'm a 500 range champion. It can be really good, but like, Veigar is really good as a win more button. If you're already winning, and then you also have Veigar infinitely scaling, and then, like, you're already winning, so you control vision, and then Veigar gets picks with the Cage, like, absolutely, it's awesome. But for Nemesis as well, like, Nemesis is a Corki TF player where he plays passively in lane, and then he plays side lanes pretty well. He's gotten better at roaming, but like, Kassadin is kind of the champion I think of with Nemesis before his time in the LEC. And, like, that's kind of the class of champions I think of him doing best on, like, farming it out and then playing the side lane really well. Like, this is a very surprising time to lock in to Veigar for me. But I'm willing to learn something, you know? Papa's going to learn. Maybe this game will show me. I haven't seen this game. I didn't know to expect it. TSM's level 1 their last game. Obviously, they ate a lot of humble pie. Much less onus to go for any sort of vertical jungling in this game. And much less likelihood to go ghost on the jungle. We do see here Flash, no sweeper start. In fact, it's just stop. It's just basically both teams are expecting a defensive start. Fnatic have the Elise, so they're just going to go for the safest possible lane, and it's basically impossible to stop Yuumi from getting a ward like that down. So they get some aggressive vision of where Sejuani is starting. TSM won't get any. And it's interesting. It's the Glacial Augment on the Veigar. I guess you get another nuke with your GLP, a bit like Super Soaker. So Super Soaker, I guess, replaces old DFG. The last Veigar I remember played competitively was Abyssal Mask Protobelt tankish Veigar build, which was actually pretty strong for a while before the Abyssal Mask nerf. I don't even know when that was. Does anyone remember when that was? When the Abyssal Mask Protobelt stuff was popular? It was like Banshee Veil Protobelt. There was a time, and there's good points in the chat. The Nemesis got some advice from a Veigar mid lane main in EU solo queue, so it's cool to see that being tried out here. Same thing happened with Wonder. I can add some extra points to that. So when I was at the G2 house, Wonder showed me the Shyvana going for Spear Shojin into AP build. And he's like, "What do you think, Papa?" And I said, "That's fucking troll, mate." He didn't play it at MSI, but he still played it at this tournament. So Wonder is someone who will always trust his own gut, which I respect. I respect that from Wonder. He's very much trusting of his own first impression, and he will get his champion out there by hook or by crook. But same case, it was a one-trick Spear Shojin AP Shyvana top lane player that Wonder picked that up from. I didn't know about the top lane Pyke. They just told me they had a spicy top lane champion. Let's touch this jungle clear. So the gank timing here from Brox is actually really non-standard. He knows Sejuani is going top to bot side clear, so he knows he won't be counter ganked on the top side. The Sejuani clear is, sorry, the Elise clear is full bot side clear, so he actually did the wolves. You do expect a machete jungler to do the Gromp, obviously, but he did wolves and red and just straight into top lane gank. And Broken Blade warded the river. Ward spots him now. Good ward at the end of the day. It is a very non-standard gank timing. You expect the Elise to come earlier and just skip the wolves. Like you would have expected a 2 minutes 15 gank, but it ends up being a 2 minutes 45 gank. It's also the right amount of camps to try a top lane gank and then turn it into a Scuttle Crab. So maybe that's just a new timing that's evolved because of the Scuttle Crab spawning at 3:15. I want to see Nemesis skill order, see if it's still 2 points W into Emax, but the game isn't a long one, so I don't even know if he gets that far. And yes, you max Q first. Good gank timing from Greg. I like the patience here. All about lane resets. How many of our ganks today have been about this? It is a very standard gank timing overall, but I feel like it's been better and better exploited. Lane positioning into gank timings this season. I'm seeing a lot more of that. Control wards behind the pits of teams defending an objective. So blue side Dragon Pit and Baron Pit and the black side. The blue side Dragon Pit wards when you're just hard ganking top side. Control wards to give you permanent vision on when an objective started is kind of a new thing we're seeing in Korea in 2019 summer, and I feel like some of these lane crash ganks are better than they've ever been. So shout out to people finding gank timings. That's what happens when you don't go cleanse. It is pretty bold to go no cleanse against Sejuani. No cleanse against Lux is fine, but against Sejuani you normally auto take it. I guess you feel bad because cleanse does nothing against Azir and Camille. But, yeah. It is notable. Aatrox wins the trades against the Camille at times in the early laning phase, but Aurelia has a lot of outscale in this matchup. Lane spot's been in a rough spot for Buppo. I guess super early levels. Aatrox not feeling strong enough to take super aggro trades. Oh, did I say the wrong name? Camille versus Aatrox. Sorry, chat. How Papa didn't watch this match? It was at 7:30 a.m., so I hadn't watched it. It was at 7:30 a.m. and it was a match I knew I was going to review, so I thought it was better to have fresh eyes on it here and learn something. Look at all the control wards bot side. 4 minutes 50 in, they get the double control ward down bot side. It was scouted out. They had control ward and didn't use it. It's a crazy amount of vision for them to be able to put down. Sort of control ward lane that you can get when you have a teleport mid laner, because Bjergsen still hasn't backed. And in the meantime, they get huge. Nemesis is actually under no risk here. This is a really cool point in the game to talk about. And it's one of the reasons why Teleport's such a popular summoner. Is that after his flash went down, Nemesis could reset, buy a control ward, break with his jungler, and get full vision of one side and also the entrance to the top side. So actually, he can't be repeat ganked. There's no way for Sejuani to get through here with the vision they have, because Sejuani can't go this way. She can go. The only way that's least likely to be not scouted is to go through the back of the pit, wait for the 20-odd second cooldown on her Q, and she would still be spotted at this point by this ward, because this ward does spot here. There's no way for Sejuani to get there and not be spotted. I guess you could Q over the wall and then Q over the wall again, but that's just dumb. So yeah, there's no way to get to mid. Really good vision line here, and the reason why I talk about the teleport mid lane is Nemesis comes back in with the control ward, with more effective combat stats, and Bjergsen hasn't been able to reset in 5 minutes 50. So coming back to take advantage of a mid laner's flash, which is a super standard thing to do, right, in competitive play, is impossible, because the vision line they have is the perfect one to scout this out. And there's no way for Bjergsen to have enough items to turn this into anything. Like, you could try EQ Flash here, I guess, and maybe that would work, but Nemesis is trying to play around the range, and obviously he knows that Sejuani is there. You don't have a chance to be able to have this much vision if you're TSM. It's a really cool reset time that gets them super hard control of bot side. Cool. All right. I'm happy that talking about vision there actually mattered. Really interesting to see this. Like, watch this play. If you watch this play from Nemesis' perspective, he goes from standing in the middle of the wave to instantly jerking to the right, but not in a suspicious way. But he's entirely prepped, and Elise knows to run straight to mid lane to back this one up. And that's what the vision here does. And it's TSM not respecting a Fnatic reset with vision control. Like, this is a different type of TSM in the early game making mistakes around vision. That was all about the deep vision that Origin were able to get. This is that Fnatic could have this scouted out, and they actually have just a exquisite vision line here in order to answer it, that even with a flash advantage, TSM's play is fully scouted out by the side of Fnatic. So big shout out to Fnatic for their setup there. It's really well done. And all TSM can do in a game like this, like, okay, we're still in the game, let's make a gank, let's get advantage of that flash. Maybe Grigor's being called back. Remember, his flash is down, get in there. But Grigor's dictated too really hard in that move, and Nemesis and Broxah were 200 IQ ahead of it, you know? All about vision. Because Bjergsen doesn't have damage item. I think if Bjergsen has Stinger here, Nemesis falls to like 100 health. You get like 300 damage more out from the early Stinger. But Bjergsen had him backed. Like, he had a lot of gold. He got a lost chapter on the back, right? So it looked deceptively like a perfect time for TSM to make an aggressive play. But in that case, not going to happen. Did you notice Broxah helped Nemesis get level 6 by ordering minions? Let's watch that again. That was cool. That was really cool. Good communication. That's cool. I'm smiling. I'm smiling. That was good. Thank you for that catch. That was who was that in chat? Um, yeah, good catch by Ghost Cookies and a few other people in chat. That's good communication. I mean, if you're in the headset, you can obviously hear it, but going back and looking at it, it's really fun to appreciate. I wouldn't have noticed. I wouldn't have known to look for that. So good call, chat. That's very much in comms, right? The comms are saying, I'm almost level 6, we can get the kill, just kill a minion, kill a minion. Like, you understand the comms that came in there. But just seeing that between Nemesis and Broxah, legit things like that are why Fnatic look like a real team now compared to Spring, where they looked like a team still developing. Or like Spring Fnatic was, let's make the best of not having caps. Summer Fnatic is, this is our new like way forward. This is our new team, and we have new ways to win the game. Nemesis and Broxah are in good sync in this split, and they do understand the game that both players want to play. And that's important because I felt like Nemesis and Broxah had no synergy in spring season at all. And that really, really hurt Fnatic. That's why I didn't really rate them as a team. But things like that give me even more compliments. So thank you again to chat for catching that. Bubba's fallen into a huge CS hole here. Maybe I have to reevaluate this matchup. My impression was that Camille takes hookshot trades, and if you E out of them and then just Q her in the face, bad things will happen. How'd this play start? All the plays that happen for Grig's misfortune are understandable, right? Because you think about the two plays Grig's been involved in, right? The play in the mid and this play in bot, and Grig's like, well, I can help them out. I can ult them, and maybe we can win this one. It's 3v2. And that's not wrong. But it's never as it appears. Like, wherever Grig goes, the other thing that Grig's not seeing is, like, Veigar was pushing in the mid lane, and then left down bot side, and Elise is very likely to be there if they're just opening cold with ulti. Like, for them to open with ult here and to get into like, super hard commit to this fight, there has to be people coming. Like, you have to expect with 4 control wards bot lane, there's going to be backup from Fnatic, but Nemesis' roam timing here is really strong. Like, he makes a no boots roam that makes this kill possible. So it's a really nice roam from Fnatic, but if you're a TSM fan, you hope that 50 games more under his belt Grig doesn't make the plays that are on paper smart plays but may not be in hindsight. Like, you see the reverse play, there's a control ward there for Bwipo, so he won't be dived. In the scenario where Fnatic are able to turn this one around, boots don't give damage, Kappa. You are correct, Worldly. You are exactly correct. How does Veigar have priority on Azir? I think it was... We can go back and learn if you'd like. How did Veigar get priority on Azir? Veigar's hanging back and getting blue buff. They can't see Brock. Azir has to play top side, I guess, and Veigar just W's down the minions, all I can tell you. It's worth noting that Azir with this build has less priority on the minions than other Azir builds. He has Electrocute for burst trades, and he has no attack speed in the build. So I think it's largely because the build, if you're not using both rounds of cooldown without the attack speed, I think Veigar can actually shove faster than Azir. In this case, Azir was also playing passive, as chat's saying. Like, Bjergsen had options to try to push the wave, but he also has a build as Azir that pushes the wave a bit slower. That was the window there. Next level, next level. Just don't flash, baby. The flash predict cocoon. Can't predict flash if I don't flash, mate. Next level. Our EU advice, I guess now. It used to be our Korean advice. Like, Brox is either 20 IQ or 2000 IQ and now tilted that his prediction failed. He still had flash, though. Yes, but obviously he's flashing at some point, and the prediction flash didn't happen. It was the reaction flash. So stun comes in. Bjergsen has to play to the left side. He finally plays in the middle of the lane. Flash for Nemesis here is really big. How much do we blame Greg here? Does anyone in chat think that Greg was trying to predict something? How much does he miss by? I guess he's trying to predict the flash. I guess so. I mean, I can't decide. Okay. It would have hit if he flashed for it earlier, so if we're going to give credit on the top side to Broken Blade, I guess we give credit in the mid lane as well. GOP done for the Veigar, about 5 CS behind Azir. And if you can go CS for CS as Veigar and Azir, like both champions do different things. If Veigar's team is behind, Azir will do more things. Like whichever team is ahead, obviously their champion will do more. But I would argue that Azir from behind is better than Veigar from behind. Because people just tunnel too hard on Veigar having the ability to perma-scale. But other than that's actually very reasonable to tunnel on in the professional game. Whereas I think that Azir is just so good at stalling games and potentially either engaging or punishing a bad engagement. Can do a lot of different things. Bottom side at least, and with no jungle attention, and even a death, Lucian Lux is winning. So I guess 2v2, Lucian Lux is living up to the potential we were talking about. Whoa, what happened? Whoa, whoa. What? Whoa. What are we doing? I got a replay? All right, we'll have to go for the replay then. Maybe he thinks Bwipo TPs, but it's reckless. If you're just watching the team fight, yes, but like you gotta have some idea of what your lane state is. The guy was right next to him. Apparently we're gonna get a replay, so I guess we'll see. I mean, at least Bjergsen kills him, I guess, but Nope, there's no. This happened, right? There's no chance he thinks he can see him. It's against Aatrox. His Q1 is an interrupt. Holy moly. Holy moly. Is there any chance he was autopathing? Okay. Here is the I'm a huge TSM fan version. I'll try and give you the ultra TSM fan version. Before this clip starts, Broken Blade's pathed like this. He's clicked over here towards the minion wave to go for a very aggro push because he has a health bar lead. And he's at this point already watching this fight. And then when he sees the TP, directly TPs into the fight. That's the only way, is that you auto-pathed into the minion wave as it was about to crash over here. And then you're already watching, and I guess... I can't... Like, that could have happened, right? Like, it could have happened, but surely not. Maybe someone with ProView can check. People are saying he thinks he's TPing from the brush. He saw him twice, once here and once there. Like, watch this. Someone with ProView, go check that. I can't check things with ProView. Like, he sees him there. Like, he's in vision. Start of this clip. Bippo's in vision there. Like, he knows he's not teleporting. He teleports before he could have started teleporting. With ProView, maybe you can go back and check that one. I don't know. But, like, that's really bad. The only way watching the clip from this perspective is that he was auto-pathing to the minion wave and watching the team fight full screen and then guessed that it was only that teleport. Maybe it was a bait? No. That was definitely not a bait. That was bad. The Broken Blade had a really good end of summer, and he had that amazing Poppy game, but that was just poor. He was in a winning lane as well. He gives a kill over. Grigg still gets an objective top side, which feels pretty good, but it's after 14 minutes. And they're losing a lot on the bot side to make it happen. Better move, though. TSM walks up with the Rift Herald. They clear out camps. Camille walks up. They're not taking a negative trade here, which is at least better to see from TSM. They're at least trying to go even. He saw Aatrox on the minimap, but his cam was in the river. Okay, so we get the... It is like I said, in that he auto-pathed top and then made the wrong prediction on the TP. I feel like then the adjustment there is that you have one more chance to check it. And he didn't take it. So it's interesting to know that I was right on like the most kind of glass half full TSM version, but... I didn't see this coming. So Broken Blade's level 10. That's only ult duration, right? So it's not as a big thing. Item-wise, Double Doran's is matched. Sheen Tiamat versus CDR. Level 11. When does Conqueror get procced? Pretty late in the story it gets popped. Why didn't he just pull away before? Like, as Grigg, I'm like, yep. Like, why couldn't we stop here? I don't know. Because Grigg is boosted, that's why it says troublesome me. I think that's pretty harsh. I was always on the Arcadian over Grigg side, but I started watching the team closest when they were playing Arcadian only in spring season, so I thought Arcadian was definitely not a player with a super high ceiling, but I thought he had reached kind of like a acceptable level, and he had the likelihood to get just a little bit better. Like, I thought he could become like a 8 out of 10 LCS jungler. But all I will say is that I think the swapping around in regular season of summer has hurt TSM and not helped it. I'm sure most TSM fans just say that both aren't the solution, but I personally would have persisted with Arcadian for longer. Or just persisted with Grigg the entire time. This is poor. Like, the thing I've seen consistently from Grigg's decision making is he always goes for the on paper play, the most simple kind of cookie cutter one. And I feel like at this level, he's getting found out by the fact that the enemy teams are playing on higher levels with vision and other things there. Or he just kind of outplays himself like his death there. Just I'm still pretty in this game. Like, they're down 3,000 gold, which obviously isn't ideal. It's can you keep up vision and stop the Veigar cage catches from being big is kind of my read here. Cute little brush camp from Nemesis. I didn't see his skill order. I'll see that soon. Dangerous to try to go bot lane because Nemesis has TP. They can rotate Nemesis and Hylissang anywhere quickly. It's cool lane assignment. Sivir can easily solo push in mid lane when the minion wave is pushed up. Veigar on the solo lane alone is really weak. Veigar plus Yuumi with TP is actually surprisingly strong. I think Ender is about to talk about this on the actual cast. It's a really cute way to play it out in that Sivir can't actually take 1v1 trades against Lucian, but she can, of course, clean out minion waves in a very short wave. And now it's going for a TP gank mid. All right. Creative. Cooldown trade here, but Sejuani doesn't have ult now. They lose a lot from Sejuani's ult being down. Broken Blade about to get a TP advantage top, so. Grigg landed a Sej ult. He did. But it was all kind of. It's kind of a weird fight, right? They've got 4 members there. They go for it. That's fine. But Bjergsen isn't in a position to back it up and doesn't take a really super aggressive move. Like Sven throws out his ult. It's kind of a weird cooldown trade. And now Sejuani's not even really a champion because she doesn't have ult. I like Fnatic going to their lack of teleport because they're turning a loss, which is the TP advantage for Broken Blade over Whippo into a win. Yes, they lose the Drake for it, but that's a very good fallback objective. If you're playing in a pro team, or aspiring team, or learning, going like that and ensuring you get an outer turret for the Drake you already lost positioning on with 3 control wards is way better than just giving someone a free Drake. And they can just use things like the cage and the Twin Shadows. That's the cool thing about this build. I like this. So here's a unique thing about Glacial Augment on Nemesis, and specifically Glacial Augment Twin Shadows, is that usually in this map state, you never get this turret if you are Elise, Veigar, and Sivir. Because the problem is that they clean the minion wave, and you have no way to zone them away from the wave. But here, because you start with Twin Shadows, you have to kite back because of the extra slowing speed with Glacial Augment, and that means that it's 2 different forms of CC, and it's enough for Veigar without ulting to push you off a turret. That's cool. I had never considered the Twin Shadows plus Cage for sieging mid. And coming back to the 2015 Cloud9 strategy, that was all about fast push with Tristana Veigar, and Veigar Cage being so powerful in sieging scenarios. With the Twin Shadows and Glacial Augment as they exist, you have to run away from the Twin Shadows because you know the follow-up is there from the cage. And then you just cage in the outer lane of the turret and you get turrets there. That's really cool. Okay, I hadn't considered that, but that's pretty interesting when it comes to what makes the champion viable in a siege scenario. Bjergsen just trying to free push him bot side. Awkward lane assignment against the Aatrox. But a lot of vision, right? It's very safe to play on this side. Why are Sejuani and Lux going bot lane? So like TSM have complete ward supremacy bot side. Why would Bwipo ever walk up when they have no vision anywhere? It feels like a very low percentage play. I feel like TSM should be around mid where the laners will be a lot more trading farm than around bot lane where one person is never going to allow himself to be face checked by 3. Like trying to kill Aatrox by VV victimize, that's obviously the standard reason, but like the Bwipo would have to be so disregarding vision to disregard an entire dark map on that side to walk up for a minion wave that he could wait to be pushed into his turret. It's really, really over-forcing, I think. Like, I think sending 2 people to get on a third there is going to mean you're out of position more often than not. Okay. Broken Blade had to flash out pretty early. Just because of respecting enemy damage, and then they get a respect flash from the cage from Greg. I mean, the cage obviously has a lot of power when it comes to team fighting. And Fnatic are actually cleaning out wards doing this and getting fights where they want them. And I think largely that's because TSM have been caught in their transitions. They're trying to make transitions to getting the bot side, Bwipo's not buying the bait there. A regular ward spots them, so they clear that out. Like, the pathing from TSM has been really predictable, and Fnatic have been able to read it and get advantages from pretty even. We're in basically a white flag versus white flag scenario in that Fnatic knows not to contest vision because they don't know where the enemy is, but the enemy's revealing themselves in getting that vision and then getting caught in transition. So I think it's not necessarily a massive thing, but it is definitely Fnatic getting flashes. You know, they got 2 flashes from choosing a time to finally contest an area that TSM controlled. Meanwhile, TSM's control didn't get them anything. It lost them something. This feels a bit overforced by TSM. Old Lucian build. Gone the Black Cleaver build here. Does mean that team fighting early, the Camille would have some Iron Shreds to work on. Oh, Twin Shadows against Lux. She has to flash. Big value there. Pretty dirty. Twin Shadows getting way more value. Normally these GOP builds don't even include Twin Shadows anymore. It's just GOP and that's enough for Glacial Augment. But the Twin Shadows for Veigar is pretty sick. We're learning something. Twin Shadows, Glacial Augment, Veigar. Pretty cool. Damn. Plop. How'd this start? So first of all, this siege is super greedy. They send 4 members mid. I guess because Nemesis doesn't have teleport, they think they can do it. But they've cleared out no vision. Control ward there. Now, these control wards do kind of baby this control ward being there a little bit. They have no idea of top side. They are towards the right side of the map, except for Grig, which is fine. Broxer. Grig is intercepting Broxer, but at this timing, will never get them a turret because Fnatic will feel strong enough to wave clear with a one-man disadvantage under turret. So back away. It's just very risky to do when you have 2 flashes down out of the 4 people in mid lane. Smoothie just dies instantly. Gets nuked. Like, it's by no means a terrible play from TSM. It's a pretty low percentage play to try to push up there and get the turret. Like, I feel like they never get the turret. Maybe they get a decent chunk out. But if it goes wrong, you lose. So it's kind of a medium risk, low reward play from TSM to barrel down as 4 through mid lane. I don't think they're far enough behind to overforce a play like that, especially when Smoothie just flashed. Because now the cost is Baron. Like, the cost here is really high on the play. Lux misses a Q and just dies for it. Let's watch the Q. We just saw Corjo J being a monster with his Qs. When's the Q used? Watching for the Q from Lux. Yeah, I mean, she misses a poking Q and then gets obliterated. With no summoners, I mean, she kind of gets what she had coming to her, right? And I lose Baron for it. But with the art of pressing R and running at the enemy team. I mean, when Lux Qs, Bjergsen has to pre-ult with R, otherwise they're going to all die. The moment the Lux binding hits, I think Bjergsen just has to push early. I think he's trying to turn the fight and try to turn them into the enemy, but he opens up for damage, and Lux already dead. It's hard to criticize anyone apart from... I think the shock call is the faulty part, right? I think the shock call of 4-man with half a wave push all the way up to the enemy turret and use something like the Lux Q to poke is the wrong shock call, even though they have a teleport disadvantage that they can take advantage of. You know, like the fact that Nemesis didn't have TP at the time. Like, with an outnumbered scenario, the best case is you do a half the health of a turret. I don't think you ever break the turret there. Out of context, she got what she had coming to her. I mean, we say big package all the time on the LCK broadcast. If that's my guilty party for today, I think we're PG-13. They see Camille and they just push straight down mid lane, which makes sense. We saw the Twin Shadows cage threat, right? Oh, it's so annoying. Damn. They just lose the game here? It's just over? Holy moly. Damn. Maybe this is the new Veigar fast push strategy. Let's go back to this, because 25-20 the game ends. What is the timer when they make the mid lane push? So it's like 3 minutes earlier they're making this mid lane push. I know I'm preoccupied with this. I just look at the game state and I say, look, Veigar can't be there. I understand why TSM starts to walk up. Reckless is Sivir, so he has ultra wave clear. Final chapter is up, so it could potentially stun them if they stay too long. And they don't have exclusive control of both sides. They don't know exactly when Elise is going to come. Like, the minion wave dies, right? Because it's Sivir. Yes, Smoothie doesn't have to throw Q. So if you want to tell me the only thing that went wrong is that Smoothie missed Q, should have held the cooldown and had it for an all-in, I can kind of accept that. But it honestly feels like they trifled with them a bit and then just got slammed. Like, Bwipo plays these fights doing way more damage than I expect from an Aatrox at this point. I guess he has 2 items. Like, Aatrox does have 2 items, so he's bigger than the Camille. So maybe I didn't notice that. If Smoothie doesn't walk up, this play doesn't go this well, and TSM don't lose Baron here. It should be noted. Also, Bjergsen could have ulted earlier in hindsight. Like, in hindsight, a lot of things could have changed that don't appear that big. But, yeah, that was a real big punishment. 3 minutes later, the game's over. 1 passage, 1 Baron push, game over. I didn't watch that game before, and that was an interesting game to track. I think TSM have a lot of video of them against good teams that play proactively, slamming them. And I hope for TSM's sake they learn the right lessons here. I'm interested to see which jungler they start when it comes to the next time. I'm interested to see if they can emulate some of the plays, because not everything that a team does that wins is something your team should pick up. Like, SKT shouldn't look at G2 and suddenly play a G2 style. But SKT should look at G2, who beat them in a best of 5, and learn ways they can incorporate the parts that fit with them, but also learn how to play against the things that just aren't their style. And TSM, I don't think will ever be a super aggressive early game team with the roster they have now. And I think that's fine. They've got scaling threats. They've got 3 great carries. But I think they have to better learn what's possible in terms of a warding sense, and they have to be way smarter about the map, because their solution to playing the map is to play ultra defensively around, say, like permanent vision, like turrets, and then scale up. And I don't think that works at the highest level. I think you lose too many things around the map. And if you make poor initiation choices, or in that case, choose a bad time to walk up, that on the one hand has a simple advantage of, well, we have a teleport advantage. On the other hand, they just kind of use all their, mishandle all their tools and lose. Like, the game can just end. So, yeah, I do think NA, I hope they learn the right lessons from Rift Rivals. The right lessons from Rift Rivals are not, well, Worlds is boom, we're terrible. It's, we're not playing the game the right way, and we've just been given a lot of tutorials in different ways, as I showed you guys in my 3 VOD reviews from today, of how the early game can be played. And now it's honestly just, all right, NA teams, you've got the infrastructure, you've got the pay, use the theory and put it into practice. And I hope NA fans, if you're as hardcore as to watch a VOD review like this, walk away from this VOD review now educated, or at least kind of clear on what could be done by NA teams in the first 20 minutes of the game. So when you don't see them do the right thing, the ARAMs, etc., start happening, etc., you guys feel like you have the lexicon to say, well, I was looking for this, this, and this that I saw from Fnatic, Origin, and G2 that NA teams aren't doing, and NA teams have faced that recently and still aren't doing it. Because then if you have been kind of hit over the head with it, and that's what Rift Rivals was. It was like, at worst, a cup of cold water to the face of the North American teams. If you still ignore it, then you've made a meaningful choice. You cannot plead ignorance here anymore, North America. The Rift Rivals wake-up call was there, just like it was from NA teams doing it to them 2 years previously. So I think I come away thinking like TL needs a lot of work. C9, unfortunately, can't be evaluated. And TL are good at punishing, like, we're good at kind of getting back into the games and punishing G2, but also gave up 2 unnecessary kills in the early game against G2, so they weren't flawless either. But I think TL made good reactive shot calls, were the reactive team they needed to be. They just need to clean up their early game pathing a little bit to not allow themselves to get into spots like that. But those will be my 3 VOD reviews for the night. Going to take one final break, come back, and answer some questions. So if you're just here for the VOD review section of the stream, that does conclude the VOD reviews. We'll answer some questions and then call it a stream after that. So come back, quick bathroom break, some cold water. Go get a drink out there. Stay hydrated, but we'll appreciate it. And be back very quickly for the final questions of the stream. Thanks for watching.